Today I want to talk about a skill that you can build where you can also save potentially multiple hundreds of dollars per year by cutting your own hair. Let's get into it. If you don't know me, I'm Spencer, and I'd like to talk about simple living, frugality, and ways to distance yourself a bit from technology. So today we're talking about cutting your own hair. I've been cutting my hair for about 10 years now. I was back in university and I've always been particular about certain things. I like certain things to be a certain way. I am choosy, but in a bizarre way, I guess I could say. I would always get my hair cut and then I would come home and I wouldn't like something about it and I'd end up trimming it myself after the fact. And it got to the point where I was thinking, why am I spending my money on this when I could just do this myself? Well, the short answer is I wasn't nearly as good as my hairdresser to begin with, but I started doing it slowly. Basically, I went to my hairdresser and I started asking him for tips. While he was cutting my hair, I'd be like, what are you doing there? Why are you doing it like that? And he'd be explaining little pieces to me. Oh, I'm doing this because this helps thin it out. This is a nice way to create layers. And I was just kind of putting that up in my head. And later I would implement these things on my own. I didn't get into cutting my own hair right away. My actual entry into doing it was actually trimming my beard. I'm a guy who started growing facial hair when I was like in grade 7. I was like 12 years old probably, but I've only had a beard since I was probably like 19 or 20. And I started trimming it and taking care of it in my early 20s using a trimmer. So I bought this trimmer set years and years ago. This is literally the first set I bought, and hopefully it'll be the last set. It was made by Wahl, and it's it's a nice just standard trimmer I got at Walmart. It's corded. Came with a bag here, which is all destroyed of guards, so you can set different lengths for when you're buzzing. That was for my beard. So I would just start off, I would just, set it to a 3 or something like that. And I would just, do my whole beard, trim it down. After a certain amount of time though, I realized that, as I said, I was getting kind of fed up with trimming my own hair when I got home from the hairdresser. And I ended up deciding I'm just going to do it myself. So it started off with actually doing an undercut. That was back when Conor McGregor was on top and I wanted to have an undercut like him. So I used this trimmer and I just buzzed the sides completely. And then I left the top like kind of shaggy, and that was my Conor McGregor look. And that was my first time where I'd cut my own hair. After the summer of having that look got a little bit old. So I ended up just going blank canvas and I buzzed the middle. I buzzed everything flat to like really, really short. And I started doing that for a couple of years where I just basically would grow it out a little bit. And then every couple of months I would take this trimmer and I would just buzz it right back to nothing. But then when I started growing my hair long again, I didn't really want to return to getting my hair cut professionally because I didn't really want to spend the money on it. At this point, I was saving, instead of going to the hairdresser every month and paying 20 bucks, I was saving all of that money. And I didn't really want that to change. So I started cutting my hair with scissors and a comb. So this is what I use to cut my hair now. I've been cutting my hair, it's been basically this length for like 6 or 7 years now, and this is all that I use to trim my hair. Just these two tools could do my entire body, honestly, because a couple months ago, my beard trimmer, which was a kind of a smaller buzzer trimmer, that broke, and I haven't purchased another one. I've just been using scissors and a comb to cut my hair on my face ever since as well. And it's really easy. All you do is you just comb it out, and you just trim it with the scissors. It takes a little bit longer, but it's a more precise and less kind of like angular cut, I would say. It looks more natural and more blended to cut with scissors. It's a very easy way to go. Basically, it's a pick your poison. Regardless of the length of your hair, it's pretty easy to cut your hair on your own and make it look pretty nice. Now, cutting your own hair gets a bad rap. There's a lot of people who they think of a cut at home haircut, like a mom who cuts all of their kids' hair or something like that, and you think they all just have like bowl cuts or something like that, and that they don't look good. I would say that doesn't really have much to do with the haircut. It has more to do with the styling of the hair. I actually cut my hair in a bowl cut pretty much. Like if you were to see my hair combed down, it's pretty much a bowl cut. I cut it straight across here and then I just kind of go around the back, and it's basically a big bowl. So it's really just the fact that when I get out of the shower, I dry it back. So it just lays very like very swept back and flowy, but it's in essence, it's a bowl cut. So I would say that isn't a reflection on the actual haircut itself. It's more a reflection of the chosen hairstyle. The bowl kind of rounded Beatles shape of a haircut is a good baseline for any sort of long haircut, and you can style it from there into a ton of different haircuts. So I'm pro bowl, actually. I am pro bowl. So finally, if you're gonna get into cutting your own hair, what do you need to do that? If you have extremely long hair, at least as long as mine or much longer, you can probably just get away with this. If I don't intend on cutting my hair short ever again, I could just use these two tools forever. I can trim my beard with this. I could trim my hair with this. I'm not gonna get that like right down to the neck like shave with this, but I can get it pretty short with scissors. I also have just a pair of kitchen scissors that I have honestly been using for a very long time. So it really isn't, oh, I gotta go get a special pair of barber scissors. You can literally just use any sort of kitchen scissors and a comb to cut your own hair, and you're gonna do a nice job as long as you have the skill and the understanding to back it up. And even if you don't have the skill and understanding, you'll get there. Now, if you're trimming your beard really tight to your face, or if you have a haircut that's going to be shorter like most men's shorter haircuts are, then you might want to invest in something like a trimmer like this, like a pair of clippers. It came with multiple types of guards like this. So I can trim my hair various lengths, I can trim my beard various lengths, I can trim my mustache various lengths. You can do it all really with that trimmer. And that trimmer is a corded one. I recommend buying a corded one because battery powered ones are just gonna die. The battery's probably proprietary and you're not gonna be able to replace it when it does die. A corded one, that's gonna last for a very, very long time. They're usually quite sturdy. You're not gonna have problem with a corded trimmer. Mine was wall, but I don't think it needs to be wall. Just gonna be any sort of thing that plugs into a wall. That's what you should look for in a trimmer. I didn't really get too much into when I had short hair doing the fade up into a longer haircut, like starting shorter here and working up into long, but that's not something that's really tough to do. It's really just a matter of just turning your wrist and pulling away as you're cutting. And you can figure that out with a few YouTube tutorials, especially if you have hair to like my length or longer. If you make any little mistakes, it's quite easy to just trim and round it and kind of cover it up. If you have shorter hair, you just go a little bit shorter if you make a mistake. Have some fun with it and know that if you cut your own hair, you're just on a journey to a little bit more self-reliance and resilience because you now need a little bit less money just to keep operating, just to keep living the life that you live. And there's a lot of freedom in that. The reality is the haircuts can be quite expensive. Unless you're going to like a place where they're training young hairdressers and they're giving you a reduced rate, or you're going to maybe a barber who charges like it's 1950. Either way, you're still paying monthly for something that you could honestly be doing yourself. Especially if you don't have a really crazy haircut, it's probably pretty easy for you to learn how to do on your own just by watching a few different YouTube tutorials and just by having a little bit of motivation to make the change. I think in our society, we're a little bit too caught up with solving all of our problems with spending our income. People of our grandparents' generation and older weren't as much like that. They were able to solve their own problems through using skills that they had. But as we've become more specialized in our jobs, I think, and we've become busier and busier, I think we've traded off having a certain breadth of skills to be more specialized in our specific job. And then every other thing that we used to be able to do for ourselves, we now pay for it. And I don't know if that's really the way to go. I, for one, don't want to work my entire life just to pay for things that I could learn how to do myself. And haircutting was one of the first things that I decided to decouple myself from that spend-earn system and just learn how to do it myself. I did not spend a lot of money on these tools. This trimmer, these scissors and the comb actually came with this trimmer in a set. And I think it was like maybe 40 bucks. And that was literally in 2012 that I purchased that. It's literally the price of what was 2 haircuts at that time to go from that time when I purchased it to now without having to ever pay for a haircut again. That's pretty powerful because we're talking about if you're spending $20 a month, that's $240 a year. We're talking $2,000 to $3,000 most likely per decade that you can save if you cut your own hair. And there's a freedom in being able to do it because, you know, maybe you don't go to the hairdresser once a month. Maybe you'd prefer to though if you actually didn't have to spend the money on it to go more often. I can go to the hairdresser every day if I want to. And it's a work in progress at all times. If I say, oh no, the hairdresser, we missed a piece, I can just go and cut it off. Will I tell you that my haircuts that I did 10 years ago look as good as my haircut that I do today? No, I've definitely improved as my own hairdresser over the years. But that's what life's all about. We're humans. We're meant to learn. We're meant to grow. We're not meant to stagnate. We're not meant to just work away as worker bees and pay to solve our problems. We're meant to create. We're creative beings, and we're meant to create and solve problems creatively rather than just with money. And this has been a great way for me to solve the problem of spending money on haircuts by learning a skill and implementing that skill over the last decade. So that's about it for today, guys. Just a quick video on how I trim my own hair to save money and to cut down on my reliance of working for income to buy things that we could learn to do ourselves. I hope you found that interesting. Let me know if you cut your own hair. Let me know if that's something that you guys are already doing. Let me know if you think that my hair looks like crap and maybe I shouldn't cut my own hair. Would love to hear from you either way. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.